Um, any other questions so far? Okay, well, here is, sorry, I thought I saw something come in. Here is my contact information. If you have any other questions, you can get in touch with me by phone or by email. This is also a link to our editorial services blog. So there you can find out about more training sessions that are coming up. Next week, we'll do something on web original content. So you saw, this whole time we've been talking about working with radio stories. But next week we'll talk about web original stories, stories that have no connection to the audio and things like that. Here's a question: any recommendations to getting staff up and running to start putting their work on the web? Yeah, sure. I mean, I would recommend maybe having this list would be helpful to them, but having them work with existing copy. You know, they're certainly writing scripts in advance. So if they can just upload those scripts, that's a place to start. And also having the idea of experimenting, right? So let them know we're trying this out. There will always be 101 reasons to not do something, but this is the organization trying something out to see how the online audience will engage with it. It may be baby steps. It may start out with putting your transcripts up, adding the quotation marks, and then maybe add details like links. Help them with links because that's stuff they already have open when they're doing their research. So just encourage them to work with just to build upon the work that they already are doing. And I've gotten some technical questions, George. I'll have to get back to you on that. And then let's see. But also what's really helpful is identifying people who want to do this work. I mean, I see this at many stations, that there's always like one or two people who just really want to have a great web presence. And these are radio reporters. And so, even if it's just a matter of experimenting with those individuals, that might be better than someone who may be much more reluctant to put their stories online. One case to be made is at a previous webinar, someone said, well, our stories only get 200 views online, whereas, we have hundreds of thousands of listeners. Sure, that's a case to be made, but we look back to the newspaper industry and where they were 10, maybe even 8, 6 years ago, where they were still having that same argument, like no one's really reading online and people are still getting newspapers delivered. And we know that that's not the case now. So, I don't know anybody who's not online. I don't know anybody who's not getting news online. So this is just a way to help you be where your audience is. There's a question about removing words like and out of a transcribed act. Is that okay? Yeah, there's some cleaning up that goes on. I definitely, reporters for print will remove the ums and do some cleaning up. So that's generally okay with quotes. Just don't take too much license. Okay, so let me go back to my, and issues with changing grammatical errors. I think that's a case where summarizing would help. If someone speaks in a way that's so grammatically off, then that's where you can summarize. I know there's a lot of weight on acts with radio stories. With the online text, if you just use someone says XYZ, then that's fine. That's helpful. And maybe a truncated quote. Let's see. There's a question about the value of tweeting and Facebooking promos. What kind of thing is the best thing to say in such messages? Directing traffic to radio versus web? It really depends on where your site is. I have seen stations that can drive. Uh, it's a bit of a combination. Depends on where it is. So a lot of times, stations that have not yet built out their online audience, a lot of the website serves the radio needs. So the website is very much an extension of the radio. But as you build your online content, and as that online audience, almost pulls away from the radio needs and sees it as its own thing. Like think back to that Osama bin Laden week, where only one of the top 11 stories about bin Laden being killed was a radio story. So you can cultivate this larger online audience, and where you can drive that traffic to the web, where a lot of that conversation is taking place on the web. Sometimes if it just makes sense to drive people to on air. So it really depends on where you are um, as a station. But I think more than anything, content drives traffic. New content, things that will engage your audience, that you think they will like. Um, Having posts throughout the day when people are online, instead of having your site serve as an archive for your radio stories. That's what'll drive traffic. Having fresh information throughout the day instead of treating your site as an archive. And someone had a question about writing headlines. We had a session yesterday. We'll post that on the blog, so you can go there. Maybe about probably by tomorrow. I have a question about audio, but I'm going to pass on that because I think that's up to your news director. Someone asked, is it okay to splice 2 audio quotes out of order as long as the message stays the same? That's something to run by your news director. Okay, any other questions so far? Again, you can email me, you can call. I'm here, and we'll have a session next week. Keep an eye on the blog for updates, and stay in touch. Talk to you soon. Bye.